All right, welcome back to day 2 of the 7-day fast start. In this video, I'll be covering the 3 most common mistakes that new recruiters make when they do business development for their own business. Because everything starts with doing BD to get new clients, because until you have your first client and a job order to work on, nothing really matters. So let's jump right into it here. The first mistake that most independent recruiters make when they try to get new clients is that the message they send, the messaging, just sounds too similar to what every other recruiting vendor is sending to that potential client. So for example, let's say that you work at a recruiting agency and you are in charge of getting clients and getting candidates. And when you do get clients, you probably say things, if you're like most recruiters, you probably say things like, we specialize in these roles that you're looking for. We can definitely help you. We work the hardest. We have the best candidates. And we work fast, right? So we work fast. We have the best quality candidates. We have a proprietary database of candidates that you won't find anywhere else. Love to talk to you about your hiring needs and how we can help. So let's say that's your current messaging. So good news, bad news. Bad news is you get fired today. So you come into work, you get laid off like I did years ago when I got laid off from my recruiting agency job. So that's the bad news. You're out of work. The good news is the biggest competitor of your agency immediately hires you and you start the next day at that new agency, and you're also charged with getting new clients. Now, when you're at the second agency, what are you going to say when you reach out to new potential clients? You're probably going to say the same thing. We do the best work, we work fast, we find the best candidates. We have a proprietary database. Our process is better than everyone else. You're going to say the exact same thing, even though you're at a different company. So hopefully that example kind of illustrates that most recruiters will say very similar things. Their messaging will be clear, it'll be professional, it'll be well written, but it all will kind of sound the same if you're not careful. And of course, if your messaging sounds the same as everyone else, very good chance that your message will get lost in the noise. And that the hiring manager will put you in the same bucket as every other recruiting vendor that's reaching out to them that week. And the only way to compete, if they see you as a commodity, is based on price, right? You got to be the cheapest agency out there if they think you're the same. And of course, we don't want to play that discount game at all. Instead, we actually want to be specialist, be specializing with a niche, with a clear unique value proposition, so that you can not only get more clients easier, but be able to charge and demand premium fees. So we want to flip this on its head. Now, for all new recruiting business owners who are really excited, they've been looking forward to launching on their own, it can be very tempting to start reaching out to potential clients. But I highly recommend to just hold off for a little bit and wait until you at least watch the strategies for messaging that I'll be covering in day 4 of the 7-day fast start. So it'll be worth your while, I promise, to hold off for a couple of days. Watch day 4 where I go into the exact messaging strategies to help you stand out from the crowd. Now, that's the first mistake, is having your messaging sound too similar. The second mistake that most new recruiting business owners make is that they waste time with what we consider bad clients. And here's the deal. When I talk to people who have already launched their own recruiting business, or they're about to start to kind of test the waters and put themselves out there, they typically say to me, yeah, John, I've been trying to get new clients. And I say, great. Like, what have you been doing? Like, what have you been trying? They'll say, well, I go to network events. I reach out to people in my network. I go talk to local businesses. And every day I try to carve out time to just manually reach out to a few different people, maybe look at job boards, see who's hiring, reach out to them. I start to kind of like reach out that way, which totally makes sense, right? Like, this is the normal, natural way. That's how I first got started. Here's a problem though, right? Here's a problem. If you're like most recruiting business owners and you are relying on your current network of potential clients, of candidates, that's great to start because it's definitely the low-hanging fruit. The problem with it, that's the main thing you do, it's only a matter of time before your network runs dry and you tap your network. At that point, now you're working harder to try to talk to more people, and you're struggling because now you're prospecting, your number of calls, your leads go down. Now, the problem with reaching out to local businesses is it tends to be too limiting, right? It's restrictive, and going out to network events, to meetups, to these different events might feel productive, but it's really not the most leveraged use of your time. because it's like you are putting one, or yes, you're putting in 10 units of work, right? Imagine a skill where you're putting in 10 units of work to get 1 unit of result. And that's a very common feeling that people make. And you know this as well, probably, if you've done a lot of networking events, is that you're doing so much work, hoping to talk to at least 1 or 2 people that could be a viable business opportunity, but more likely than not, nothing comes of it, and you just spend a lot of time. Similarly, when you reach out manually to clients, it's also very challenging because it's so time intensive, right? Think about it. When you want to reach out to new potential clients, if you're like most traditional recruiters, what you do is you go on LinkedIn, go on jobs, look at all the jobs that are being posted, research that company, make sure it's the right type of company you want to reach out to, and then find a few people at that company to reach out to. Maybe a director level person, a manager, a VP level hiring manager, maybe throw in a head of HR or head of talent acquisition. And then you find those people. Now you're typing in by hand a message to each of them, hoping to kind of, diversify and place your bets across different people, hoping that one of them will get back to you. And then you have to log all those messages into some type of CRM or tracking tool, so that way you can create a follow-up task, maybe reach back out to them a week later. Like, as you can imagine, that probably took you like close to 45 minutes to an hour and that's one company. And if you only reach out to 1 or 2 companies a day, not nearly enough volume to move the needle. So again, doing manual reach outs, just relying on your network, reaching out to local businesses, meetups, that sort of thing, networking, is like putting 10 units of work for 1 unit of result. Now, that's the opposite. What we want to do is we want to use a more leveraged, systemized approach where you put in 1 unit of work and you get 10 units of results. The output is 10x. That's obviously the way to go. So the way that you'll do this is by leveraging systems and processes versus manually one-on-one outreach. So I'll talk about that in a moment. But usually what happens is the result of having, kind of an inverse model where you're putting 10 units of work, getting 1 unit of result, results in you having limited client opportunities. This is very common for recruiting business owners where they say, hey, I try to do BD. It's not that effective. I get a couple clients here and there, mostly through my network or referrals. But what ends up happening is they're stuck with limited number of clients that are not great. They're suboptimal, right? You'll end up taking a client that is willing to work with you instead of you picking the best client available, right? So that's right. In the perfect world, of course, you should be cherry picking and hand picking the clients that you want to serve, instead of feeling like they get to choose whether or not they want to work with you. It should be an even playing field. It's not like you're here and the potential client's here and you're hoping that they're going to like allow you to work with them. Instead, it should feel more of a even playing field, right? You guys are on the same level, talking to each other, trying to figure out if you're both the right fit for each other. And the idea is, the main name of the game is you want to have enough opportunities, though, to handpick what I call A clients. Right. So in the perfect world, and this is actually the result, and that's not even the perfect world. This is the result of having the right systems in place, which I'll talk about in a second. But once you have the right systems, you have an abundance of opportunities, lots and lots of meetings every single month with potential clients. Now what happens is this. Now it's like you're the really, really attractive person on Tinder if you're dating. You're the top 5% of attractiveness. And of course, all the algorithm data shows that when you're in the top 5% of the most attractive person on the dating sites, you get the vast majority of people. I mean, you get your choice of the litter, right? Regardless of the situation. So we want to put ourselves like in that position where we have plenty of choice and we can just, pass on people. Swipe left, swipe left, swipe left. Oh, swipe right, swipe left, swipe left. We want to be that person, not the person that's like, please reply back to me. Right? Like, I'm struggling here. I'm dying out here. And so, and I kind of jokingly make the analogy between dating and recruiting quite a bit because they're similar, right? They're both, recruiting and dating requires you to generate a relationship and trust and rapport from scratch very quickly if you want to have success. So when you're in that position, though, you're the top 5 percentile of recruiting businesses out there, and you have your choice of which clients you want to handpick, you can choose to work with what I call A clients versus B or C. So let me actually take a moment to define the difference between A, B, and a C client. So to me, in my opinion, an A client, they're the best of the best. These are clients where the roles that they ask you to recruit for, the job orders, are exactly in your wheelhouse. They line up exactly in your niche. And you have a direct line of contact with that hiring manager who should be like a director or VP level, right? You're talking to a person at the top who has the authority to hire you as a recruiter and to make the decision to, yes, put out a job offer for your candidate. So you have, not only do you have a direct line of contact with them, but you have good rapport with them, meaning that when you reach out to them, you submit a candidate, present a candidate, they're hyper responsive, they get back to you right away. They move forward quickly to the interview process. They have a clearly defined interview process as well, so you know exactly how to best prep your candidate. And when they identify the right candidate from you and they move them along the interview process, that if they like them, they will actually pull the trigger, make the job offer, and hire your candidates. That's what I call an A client. In addition to that, they are probably offering you at least a 20% fee. Right? They're not a discount client, at least 20%. They have to have the ability to pay your full fee, your retail fee to become an A client. And their opportunities are that where candidates are interested in working for this company. They're an attractive company that's easy for you to recruit candidates because they want to work at that company. The role is exciting and they are paying market rate or above for the salary. So when you have all these things aligned, you have what's called an A client. And of course, the ultimate goal is to only have A clients. I mean, imagine this. Like, imagine that you are able to just handpick the very best clients, and now you enjoy working with them. You have fun with those clients. They treat you like a partner instead of just a random vendor. Like, life becomes fun. Things become easy. They're pulling the trigger. They're hiring from you. They're giving you repeat business. Like, that's a dream. It's not just a dream. It should be the goal and a natural byproduct of having enough leads, having enough potential clients to talk to, where you can kind of start to funnel in and you filter in only the A clients, and everyone else, you put them in their respective buckets. So that leads me to the next category of clients, which is the B client. So the B client is just missing one or two of those main requirements from an A client, right? So it's not terrible, but you don't want too many B clients. So for example, they might be a little bit slow to respond, right? So not an A client. They might be you might be working with them on an 18% fee, not a 20% fee. So again, any discount below 20% puts them in the B or C category. Again, not the end of the world, but not one you should be focusing on. Now, there is a big trap though. There's a trap of having, and I've been in a situation where I have like a whole bunch of B clients. Like, all my clients are B, maybe a couple C's, which I'll get into in a moment. The problem with that is that it feels like I'm doing well. It feels like I'm getting really good traction, that I got lots of jobs I'm working on. But in the back of my mind, I know that these are not the best job orders, not the best clients. And but it's not bad. I mean, it's better than having no clients. So I still stick with this. And so the trap here is that good is the biggest enemy of great. By having a bunch of good clients, you're missing out on having a bunch of great clients where you'll make way more money faster and easier. Again, not easy, and it's basically impossible to turn down B clients, walk away from B clients if you don't have an influx of A clients coming in on the regular basis. So again, good is a trap and the enemy of great. So you want to make sure that even if you have good clients, you want to upgrade your client portfolio and kind of let the bottom clients fall off so you can add better clients to the top. Now, the C clients, as you can imagine, those are the ones who are missing more than one or two of those main requirements. They're almost always pushing you for a discount on your fees. They are not that responsive when you do present candidates. And, this is, if you're a recruiter, you work at an agency, or you already have launched your own agency, and you have a job order that's been open for more than a couple months, that you're still working on, hoping and praying that you find that one random and rare diamond in the rough candidate that they're going to eventually hire from you, you probably have a C client, right? And you probably know it as well. You just don't know what to do about it because you can't replace them. You don't have the lead flow to replace them with better clients. So the idea here for C clients, you should just eliminate them. Completely don't work on them. It's like the 80-20 rule. Most people put 80% of the work on mostly B, but some C clients, and getting 20% of the result from that, right? We should flip this, flip it on its head, get mostly A clients, a couple of B clients, and just C clients, we just drop completely. But again, it's hard to be in that situation when you don't have an abundance of opportunities coming your way. And so the common trap is sticking with these B and C clients, mostly because this, right? It's really, if you have been falling into this trap, please don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up. It's a very common thing if you've been trained like I have in the recruiting agency world. Because in the world of recruiting agency, there's a term that says focus on what's closest to the dollar. Right? Focus on what's closest to the dollar. What does that mean? That means that as a recruiter working at an agency, if I have the choice, the dollar comes in once I made a placement. So whatever activity I can focus on, that's as close as I can be to actually getting an offer letter signed. That's what I want to focus on. So in other words, on a given day, if I have the opportunity to either talk to a candidate who's on third round interviews and maybe help prep them for their final interview, or have somebody in the offer stage, and I have a chance to talk to them about saying yes to the client's offer, or the opportunity I have to spend time getting new clients, we're taught as recruiters to focus on what's closest to the dollar, focus on that candidate who's in final rounds or the offer stage or second round, or if I don't have anyone at that late stage, focus on finding candidates. So we're always kind of focused on delivery and fulfillment, and we prioritize that over getting new clients, getting new job orders. As a result, we will have that natural tendency to stick with filling the role, just be so tunnel vision and have the blinders on that we're focusing on roles with B and C clients versus focusing on client acquisition and getting fresh job orders. And again, if you've been recruiting for a while, you already know this, but it's the new job orders, the new recs that close the fastest, not the ones that's been open for months and months, that's gone stale, but you're just chipping away, hoping and praying that you can fill it one day. Now, the goal here, so as a result of this, right, you can probably see where I'm going, is you want to focus always on what's furthest from the dollar. As long as you focus on getting new clients, fresh job orders, that fresh lead flow, those fresh new clients, the A clients, will push away the C clients and push some of the B clients off your plate. And this way, your client portfolio is going to be eventually mostly A clients, maybe a couple of Bs. Mostly because you're nice, you're loyal to them, and you still want to service that account. By focusing on what's furthest from the dollar, also it creates stability in your recruiting business. So many people I've talked to said, John, running a recruiting business is stressful because, man, some months it's feast, some months it's famine. Sometimes I have a whole bunch of clients I'm working on, great job orders, I'm making a bunch of placements. And then when those job orders dry up, then I'm kind of in the valley here and I'm scrambling to get some job orders. I take off my recruiting hat, put on my business development hat, go drum up some business. I get busy again. Then I take off the business development hat, put on my recruiting hat, work on what's closest to the dollar, fulfillment, until those dry up. And then I'm in this kind of up and down roller coaster. And not only is it emotionally stressful, but financially, when your revenue is just kind of up and down, people lose sleep at night. I certainly have. It's not fun. And people feel like that's just the way it is. People say all the time, well, that's just the nature of recruiting. That's just the way the market works. That's just the way the industry works. It's not. It's that way if you're prospecting, doing manual outreach, if you're doing networking, if you're really relying on referrals and your network, yes, that's the result you'll get. But if you have a more automated, more scalable, more systematized approach that's always focusing on getting new clients in the door, then you'll have an even, steady business that you can reliably predict your income. It's consistent. And then with that consistency, you can actually have peace of mind, sleep well at night, enjoy your hard-earned dollars you earned, and all that good stuff. So that's obviously the goal. Now, to be kind of in the situation where you have an abundance mindset, having the abundance mindset allows you to turn away bad clients. But in order to create the abundance mindset, you really can't fake it. Right? You can't fake with a potential client that you have all this business, that your schedule's packed. They can sniff that out. It's really hard to fake the funk, especially if you're in the scarcity mindset. And a quick note on mindset, Very, very important. All right. People know, I think, naturally that when it comes to peak performance of any type, whether it's sports at a professional level, whether it's business or entrepreneurship, mindset is such a huge thing, especially in a business like recruiting, where it's all about developing relationships with people or dating relationships with people. The mindset you go into it is so important, right? As you can imagine, if a potential client's talking to one candidate or one recruiter rather, and they have the scarcity mindset, they're thinking, I need this client. I hope they give me a job order. I really need the business. I got nothing else going on. My pipeline is dry. I really, really need this client. Is the hiring manager going to sense that, pick up on it? Of course. Most people have a very finely tuned intuition and BS radar, especially hiring managers and recruiters. But when you talk to a hiring manager, they're going to feel like, oh, this person really needs my business. They really want it badly. Versus a recruiter that runs their own agency, they're independent, and they have a constant flow. They have at least 1 or 2 calls every week with new clients who want to talk to them about work. How are they going to approach that potential client call? They're probably going to be a lot more calm, more chill. Be like, hey, look, we're not for everyone, but let's have a conversation and figure out together if we might be a right fit. And if we think that we are, then we might get to the next step. Not sure what that might look like, but I'm sure we can figure it out together. Like, how's that sound, right? They're very calm and cool. And then the hiring manager will be like, you know what, this person doesn't need my business. Like, I think they want my business, but they don't need it. So they must be doing something right. They must have lots of other clients. I better pay attention, give them more attention, take this more seriously. Right? Same thing with dating. If you're on a date and the person across the table from you is just like calm, cool, relaxed, they're not trying to impress you. They're just having fun with it. They're really just looking to make a connection. You'll pick up on that. You're like, you know what? This is attractive quality versus like, oh, this person really likes me so much already. They're talking about the second date already. They're being assumptive, and something he just feels, it kind of stinks of desperation. So same thing with recruiting. We want to have that abundance mindset. And to create that, you want to have lots of things going for you, mostly a system to get new leads all the time, but also having the right mindset before you even launch your recruiting business. As you launch, having the right mindset dialed in. So this is also kind of a common mistake, is not having really your head in the right headspace, which is exactly why for our private clients, we have Andre Salovich. He's a mindset coach. And all he does in our program is meet with our clients to help them get their head straight, right? Help them overcome common mental barriers like imposter syndrome, fear of failure, fear of great success, like all these things that people as entrepreneurs, we as entrepreneurs have a very common mindset traps. And so it's really, we all know, this is the most frustrating part too, that I think that I talk to most people about, is that they all know that mindset is super important, but how do you go and apply that? How do you fix the mindset? How do you overwrite your negative beliefs, limiting beliefs with the right positive mindset? It's very hard unless you have a coach, a therapist, someone there that's helping you get your head right in the game. That's why all professional sports players, even the best of the best, have coaches for their mindset, because it's such a big needle mover for success. All right, so enough about that. Now you know why it's important to have the right mindset, always be prospecting, always be talking to new clients. And that alone, it's like the right mindset will help you get new clients, but also having lots of new clients, potential clients booking calls with you, having the success that way creates the right mindset. So you can have the right mindset before you launch, which is important. You should have that. But doing the right activities, having the right things fall into place will create confidence, create momentum, and help you create that right mindset as a result of doing the right things and getting initial results. Now, the main challenge here is when it comes to prospecting, let's talk about that now. When it comes to reaching out to new clients, the main challenge that everyone faces is a limiting factor, which is time. Like, I've never met anyone that says, John, I have all the time in the world to manually reach out to new clients. Like, I spend 8 hours a day, to research companies, manually reach out, schedule follow-ups, follow up, leave voicemails. I got all the time in the world, John. Like I love doing it this way. I love being old school and traditional and just doing business development like it's 1995. Back in the day, I mean, because like, when I talk about traditional recruiters, I know that because I was one. When I first launched my recruiting business well over 10 years ago, there were no automations, AI tools, all the modern systems that we now implement for our private clients. So I was taught to do everything the old school way. Just smile and dial, reach out by hand, spend hours and hours per day. Me being the needle mover in the business. And it worked fine because I was doing it full time. And I had a sales background, so I was happy to grind it out. So let me tell you a quick story that I think is going to help you illustrate why I shifted from manual outreach to more of an automated approach. So the story here is a story that came to me as a shock. It was the first time anyone's ever asked for a refund for my program. And we don't get that many refund requests. We have some guarantees in place. We have our process is dialed to the point where people get results. So refunds rarely happen. But the very first time someone asked for one, here's what happened. He goes, "Hey, John, look, the last 4 months, I've been plugging away at my recruiting business using the approach that you taught, which is manually reaching out to potential clients. The thing is, when I do carve out time, it works. I start to generate calls, but I just don't have enough time. I have 3 kids, a busy job. I commute to and from work. And so at most, I can do an hour or 2 a week of manual business development. And this is not moving the needle enough. It's not nearly enough volume. So I tried your way. It just didn't work out. I'd like to have a refund, please." And so when I heard that, I'm like, oh, shoot, like I felt bad that this client, his name's Ryan, didn't get the result he wanted, the result I promised. And I said, "Sure, no problem. You know what? You did everything I asked for. I just hit the button, issued the refund." After a while, though, later that evening, I thought to myself, you know what, John, like, let's take full accountability. This is the way I really do think about any situation that happens, is I say, okay, if I were to take complete and 100% accountability, how did I fail this person? What did I do that didn't get them the result, right? As I thought about it, I thought, I made business development too difficult. I taught the process that I did, which is manually reaching out to new clients, doing the network events, doing all these things that as I said earlier. I was happy to put in 10 units of work, right? 10 units of work to get 1 unit of result because I did have time. I did have a sales background. I had 8 hours a day. Like I had all the time in the world doing my recruiting business full time. But that's not fair to expect that of every person that I coach. So I said, you know what, things have to change. So I paused enrollment for my program for a few months, and I then hired specialists. I hired coaches who were experts in more of a modern, more automated ways of doing business development. So I literally hired a LinkedIn automation agency to teach me how they help their clients grow through LinkedIn automation. And I hired an email automation expert on how they use email to scale out their approach, get new clients. And then I tested it on myself, on my own agency, applied recruiting to kind of what's considered more B2B strategies. And it worked. It clicked. All of a sudden, which is actually pretty simple. All I did was I took the message that I would normally send by hand to potential clients, and instead I loaded into an automated sequence that just went out every single day on autopilot through email, through LinkedIn in tandem. And overnight, the results it's like flipping a switch, right? Because imagine doing sending 1 to 2 company, reach out to 1 or 2 companies per day manually versus reaching out to 10 or 15 companies per day through automation. When you 10 or 15x your output, even if the messaging stays the same, even if it's not quite optimized, your results just go through the roof, just through sheer scale, through sheer volume on your side. And so as a result, I had rebuilt the program to a 2.0 where we taught everybody automation. And as a result, you guys seen the case studies, right? Every single client that gets results comes from automation these days. And so now automation is really, in my opinion, a must-have, especially if you're running your own recruiting business. That's right. Especially if you're doing this part-time and you have a full-time job. Because if you have a full-time job, a busy family life, you just simply don't have time to reach out every day spending hours and hours manually reaching out to new clients. So you have to use some sort of automation. But here's the deal. The mistake that most people make, though, is they don't implement it correctly. This is the third mistake, is they understand that automation, a more scalable, systems-oriented approach is the way, but they don't know how to quite implement it correctly. And so they want to do it themselves, but here's the risk, right? When you try to do LinkedIn automation yourself, you have to pick the right tool that's cloud-based, that has certain security features in place, so that way you don't risk going into short-term LinkedIn jail, right? So you may have come across this, but when you try to reach out to too many people on LinkedIn, you send too many connection requests. LinkedIn can often say, hey, like, we're gonna pause you for now. You've hit your limit. And if you try to go beyond that, it can say your LinkedIn profile is temporarily restricted for a day or two. Now, if you're a recruiter, having your LinkedIn profile down for a day or two is like a death sentence. It's scary. It can just stop what you're doing. And if you have a recruiting business, it can grind your business to a halt. So we do not ever want to go to LinkedIn jail and get slapped on the wrist by LinkedIn. So you have to use the right tool. Luckily, I beta tested every single tool out there. I mean, Ulink, Expandy, Zopto, Dripify, like Instantly, you name it. I've beta tested every single tool. I've taught different tools, and the one that we ended up co-developing called Recruiting Pipeline is the one that just works like a train. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that you don't need. It just works like a train. It's consistent. It goes in and it just works every single day. It's bulletproof, and that's why we go with this tool. And not only do we choose a tool that we provide with the program, but we also implement it, configure it, and install it for our private clients. So that way they don't have any risk of messing it up. I know this because I tried to do it myself. I wasted time doing demos, reading documents, doing trial runs of different tools, only to feel more confused about which one to plug in. So I tried like Frankenstein different systems and tools into my own business. It took me forever. So hopefully some of this stuff here that we talk about will help guide you and help you avoid wasting hours and hours of trying to like do it all yourself, because you're just, again, doing trial and error like I did. Email is also tricky too, because email, the nice thing about email is you have a much higher volume of reach outs. Unlike LinkedIn owns its own platform, so they can restrict how many connection requests you send out every day, because they don't want people to spam their whole user base. They want to protect the user experience. So LinkedIn has a lower volume but a higher open rate than email, because LinkedIn is like social media. They can see your profile, look at your picture, they can look at your experience, and because of that, take a look at your niche, right? See that your niche is aligned with their hiring needs, and because of that, you have a much higher response rate on LinkedIn if you do it right. Email, it's cold, right? They have no idea who you are. It's just text. So your open rate's much lower, but your volume is much higher. Like, no one owns email, so you can do like 3, 4, 5x the volume on email than LinkedIn and have volume on your side. And of course, people check their email inbox way more often than they do their LinkedIn inbox. Problem is, with email, very, very, very easy to get into spam jail, right? Once you're in spam jail, you are trapped. It's hard to get out of spam. And so you have to do the right technical things to warm up your domain, best practices, set up the right sequences, use the right email automation tool, which can all feel very daunting as well if you're trying to figure this all out yourself. Now, to do this properly, you want to run LinkedIn automation and email automation together in tandem. And then when you have both running in tandem, you're leveraging the best of both platforms. Now you have a very high chance of getting a hold of this hiring manager. You have a chance for them to read your message, like it, and respond back to you. So that's the recommended approach, to have LinkedIn and email automation set up properly from day one. And so when you launch, your messaging, your messaging is dialed in, your branding is dialed in, and your volume is dialed in with follow-up messages that aren't spammy, aren't pushy. You're offering value every step of the way. So when you have all that on your side, right? Targeted messaging, clear branding, clear value proposition. You're reaching out on the two main channels that all hiring managers are on, LinkedIn and email, and you're reaching out to them at scale with follow-ups over time. Hopefully you can see why this is such a game changer. All of a sudden, again, Your lead flow will 5x, your results will 5x, all because you have the systems where you put in 1 unit of work, which is really just implementing the automation. You let it run, and now you get 10x the results, 10 units of results as a byproduct of doing this right systems approach. Now, the best way to illustrate that and kind of show you what this looks like is for me to share my screen for a second, and let me just highlight the results of doing it this way. All right, I wanted to quickly share with you a cool story from one of our clients, Joy Boston, what she accomplished with LinkedIn automation. By the way, this is the Recruiting Launch official school group for our full flagship program with our full curriculum, our coaching calendar of 8 coaching calls per week with our entire team, including me, every week. But what I wanted to showcase was the community where people are always sharing their wins. And here, Joy not only signed her first candidate offer, basically made her first placement. It was a $52,000 fee that she made, and she split it with Emily from our program as well. So in our program, if you have too many job orders, not enough candidates, you can post and share and ask people to help you fill roles. And of course, the agreement is that we split that fee 50-50. A lot of people will come in and do a split deal while they're getting their acquisition systems warmed up, their automation set up, and they can quickly do a quick split deal, make 10 to 15K, and it's great. Here, they split a $52,000 fee, so $26,000 deal was very nice for Joy. But what was really impressive is she got this first client through automation. So I know in this video, we've been talking a lot about automations, but wanted to show you like what it looks like in real practice and the results. So Joy said, first client signed from automation. A CTO reached back out to me 2 days ago on LinkedIn after accepting my connection request. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And my follow-up messages. Again, it's not just the first message that's important, but the follow-ups where we don't want to hope and pray that we can reach that hiring manager on the very exact day and time where their headspace is fully dedicated to filling their positions, right? They have lots of stuff they have going on. But so following up the right way is critical. So we help build not just the first message, but the follow-up messages as well in the sequence. And then she said she didn't even hop on the phone because the hiring manager was out of office for the next week. They just asked for the agreement, talk it through. So they did this all virtually, just through LinkedIn, and then got the DocuSign back, signed agreement. It's a second client she got, the first one generated from the recruiting pipeline automation. Again, it's a tool that we co-developed, that we implement and provide at no additional cost to our private clients. So that way, every client of ours leverages the right automation. So she's super stoked. And the great thing is whenever people share wins in the community, even though we're all running our own recruiting businesses, everyone is just like supportive. Again, people kind of say like, doing this on their own can feel a bit lonely. It's like them against the world. But when they do it with people on their side, they feel like they have peers, they have kind of coworkers, other people kind of doing the same thing, rowing their own boat. And so you can see that when people share their wins, everyone's collaborative. People are sharing, the results, 39K fee, 40K fee, new clients. So this is something that I am very proud of. I track very closely to make sure, of course, everyone's getting results, everyone's getting new clients. But just want to quickly share with you what it looks like when you leverage these systems in place. And again, have the right scale, where you're doing 1 unit of work, 10x results by leveraging the right automations in the right way across the right platform. So again, this is all stuff that, of course, we can help you figure out, help install and design and set up for you, but you don't have to go with us. You can go with anyone else that can help you with this. I would just beware about doing it all yourself because it can be challenging. A lot of mistakes can be made, a lot of traps you can fall into. So I would advise definitely leverage automation. Just get it set up by somebody who you either know, like, trust. It can be us, it doesn't have to be, but just please replace that with a traditional manual outreach because you will be able to 5 to 10 extra results by having these systems in place. So hopefully this example helps. All right, now that you understand these important concepts and the mistakes to avoid, like doing manual reach outs, like focusing on B and C clients because you don't have a system to generate new lead flow, and because you are not leveraging the right automations on both LinkedIn and email properly. Now that you understand that and how to avoid that, at least conceptually, then in the next video, day 3, we'll be building a list of hiring managers for you to start reaching out to. right? I'll be talking about exactly how to curate and specify the ideal type of dream clients to reach out to, what type of companies they're at, what the positions of these hiring managers are, and how to best identify them. Then once you have a list of these hiring managers, you'll be ready soon to start reaching out to them with the goal of booking your first call with your first potential client 1 week after you launch. So that's always a goal for all of our private clients, which is 1 week after they launch their reach out, their campaigns, they start targeting potential clients. 1 week after they launch, we want them to book their first call with a prospective client. So that's the ultimate goal here. I want to keep that crystal clear. This is all about, like I said in day one, all about implementing these processes step by step so that you can move the needle forward in your recruiting business. All right, now before I let you go, here's the action item for today. The first couple of videos are kind of conceptual, foundational. So the homework I'd like to give you, again, if you're open to it, is since this video is all about avoiding common mistakes, avoiding these traps, I'd like you to think critically for a moment and objectively about your recruiting business so far, whether you've already launched or you're thinking about launching, and think about a mistake that you might have made already. So look back. Again, the way that you learn, the way that you grow is not by just grinding quickly, but by making time to pause and reflect and learn from past mistakes. So just think of 1 or 2 mistakes that you might have made in the past, or 1 or 2 mistakes that you might be currently making now based on everything that we talked about or everything I shared in this video, and then comment that below. Share your mistake because 1, it'll force you to think objectively about your business, kind of take a step back and look for any gaps in your game, look for any holes in your process, which is very important to identify. So if you can identify that, or you think you might be making a mistake, drop that in the comment below, because 2, it'll also benefit the people who are looking at the comments and the viewers, because they can learn from your mistakes just the same way that you can learn from other people's mistakes as they share theirs in the comment below. And of course, lastly, it'll allow me to review them and comment and respond back to you what you're sharing. And this way, if I can, I'll definitely add some advice, give you some guidance along the way to help you get unstuck, help you correct those mistakes, so that way you can unlock the success for your own recruiting business. All right, I really appreciate your time and attention. Thanks so much for watching this. And so I'll see you in the next video in day 3. Take care and talk soon. Bye now.